You are minding your own business after having spent 40 plus years in the Marines. You're out in your native state, Washington, and you get a call from Vice President-elect Pence to come and meet Donald Trump, who you had never met before. What did you think that meeting was about, and do you have any regrets about going to the meeting or your decision to actually become Secretary of Defense?
I don't live a life with regrets. I would tell you that if you're enjoying life and it's shortly after an election and the phone rings, don't answer the phone, obviously. But on a more serious note, I was brought up by the greatest generation, and I was brought up to believe that government service is an honor, it's a privilege, but it's a duty. And whether the President of the United States asks you and they're a Republican or a Democrat, it doesn't matter. As long as you're prepared to do it, as long as you know you can do it, then the response is affirmative.
Okay, so you took the job, but you resigned after a few years over the policy disagreement. Any regrets about having resigned?
Well, as you'll all understand, ladies and gentlemen, these are the finest young patriots in our country signing that blank check payable to all of us with their lives. The men and women of our military, and I loved being back around. It's probably the best job I could have imagined, and I only miss being around those people. There just comes a time, I don't live a life of regrets. There comes a time and you know what you've got to do.
So you don't ever look back?
No, I look forward.
I'm
like Dallas.
See, okay. I wish I could do that. I always look back at the deals I should have done. I missed. I wish I had that same ability. But okay, so you disagreed with President Trump on Syria. And let me ask you, I realize you've been very, very careful about not criticizing President Trump at all since you've left in any public forum. So I'm not probably going to persuade you to do so here, not that you want to do so. But the reason that you want to be not commenting on your service as Secretary of Defense or saying anything negative about President Trump is what? Is it because you're a former cabinet officer, former military person, or just generally think it's not a good policy to do that?
I resigned over policy disagreement. You're right. I put that disagreement in a page-and-a-half letter. The letter's been released. That's all the more I need to say about it. The French call it a devoir de reserve, a duty of reserve, a duty of quiet. You don't need to have a former Secretary of Defense talking about the current policies in a way that's injurious to the country. And I would point out that Secretary Ash Carter, my predecessor under the Obama administration, said the same thing when he would respond to a congressional question that he considered political even while he was there. So it's not unique to me, is my point. It's not some protective effort around President Trump.
Do you feel, let's say years down the road, you might feel better about commenting on this?
It's a good question, David, but like most of us in this room, I'm from the West as well. And there's something we call you ride for the brand. And I can always come out and say on this policy or this strategy, here's where I come down. That's not meant as a personal or political attack. And I don't feel that I need to be silent about those things after that president leaves office. But while the president's there, the last thing we want to do is to have the former Secretary of Defense coming out saying, I disagree with a certain policy. Guess what? The president is still the commander-in-chief as elected by the American people, and the troops have to obey him. The last thing you want to do is have the troops saying, well, the former Secretary of Defense doesn't agree with that policy. That's why I don't talk about it while they're in office.
So does President Trump call you for advice anymore, or not so much?
No, the phone hasn't rang on that one.
Okay, all right.